Today, inshallah, I'd like to just talk very briefly as Salat al-Isha is 10 o'clock. So a program with 45 minutes, of course, we can say it's a brief program. Very briefly talk about some of the problems people have in their family lives, marital lives, and the solutions for that, the reason of the problems, and what would be the solution to these problems. One thing we need to understand, and this was made very clear in the earlier programs also, that our deen is not just ibadah, which means in the sense of salah, zakah, and fasting and hajj. Our deen is a complete deen, where we get instructions about every aspect of our life, whatever needs to be done in our life, whatever a human being goes through in his or her life, there are instructions about it in this deen. Many times, the main problem is that we don't follow the instructions of our deen about different issues. We learn, for people who want to go for hajj, they learn about hajj. For people who want to pray salah, perform salah, they learn about salah. But we never have learned about how to run a family. When the speakers before me, and especially Maulana Azam in the last talk was talking about this topic, I was thinking, this may be a topic that we haven't heard anything about it for a long time. We hear stories from here and there, but without knowing the proper application of it in our life. And I'm sure even when we heard that talk by Maulana Azam, and when we hear few ahadith at this time, we would think in our mind that this is not for me, this is for the other people. The husband would think, because my wife is not like that, I know how to treat her. And the wife thinks that my husband is not that type of man, and if I go this way, then he would be spoiled. So I need to get him straight. So don't tell me this hadith, I know it. That should not be our attitude towards the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We should listen to the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with a full open-mindedness that I would like to accept all the instructions given in the Quran and hadith. I like to adopt it in my life, and I like to follow these instructions. It's not that this is not for me, and I'm waiting for him to say this, and if he doesn't say it, then he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he doesn't know my situation. If we follow these instructions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are for all of us, and they are the real solution to all of our problems. We may at some point think that no, this will increase my problem, but this is from shaitan. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said in a hadith, Iblis, the leader of all shayateen, every day he sits at a place where all the other shayateen visit him. And then he starts asking them of their achievements for the day. So one of the shayateen may come and says, I made a person miss Salat al-Fajr. Okay, good. Another person says, I made this person eat something haram. That's good too. And they start coming to him one after another, explaining to him of their achievements and how they try to make people disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in different ways. At the end, a person comes, one of the shayateen comes. He says, today I was with this person and I made him start an argument with his wife. And I didn't leave them until they ended up with a divorce. Iblis gets up, he hugs him. This is the right thing that you have done. This is the work, this is an achievement. All of you shayateen, you didn't do good work. See, this is what you need to do. Here we can understand the importance of keeping the family ties and keeping our relationship at homes very clean and strong. And at the same time, we see how much shayateen try to break this relationship, especially the relationship of husband and wife. The least is they make them dislike each other. They make them hate each other. They make them argue about everything. And of course, everything will start from there. If you give that argument any room into your house, that's it. You have opened the door of the shaitan. As soon as the argument starts in the house, the door to the shaitan have opened up into this house. Now, not only you, both husband and wife, your children, your other relatives, everyone will start getting into that fitna, and within no time we see that all of these people are losing their good deeds, they're losing their rewards, they're backbiting each other. Oh yeah, her husband is like this, and this person is like this, and he always mistreats her, and she's from his side, everyone is talking against her. This is, as soon as arguments start in the house, we have opened the doors of every fitna to that house. It's our responsibility for husband and wife both, and mainly, and really we have to say, mainly is the husband's responsibility to make sure that no argument is allowed in this house. We read the ayah of Quran al-Kareem where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ. And I'm not trying to apologize about the meaning of the ayah that yes, the man is considered to be the Amir in the house. Yes, that is a responsibility. That is a position. And that position comes with that responsibility that makes sure if you are Amir, then everyone is living with peace in this house. Whose responsibility would be that? It is the responsibility of the Amir of the house, of the head of the house. Although, of course, everyone has to help him in that regard, but mainly is the responsibility of the head of the house. Make sure you don't open the doors of argument into the house. Whenever any argument starts, right there, you need to finish it, leave the scene, do whatever you have to do, but don't let the argument continue. One of the scholars was approached by a woman who complained that my husband beats me up a lot. He tortures me physically. I need some dua, some ta'weez for this. He said, sure. I have a real good dua and very strong dua that will help you in this regard. So he got the water bottle and let me drink first. Then he recites something. He gives her the water. He says, every day at the time when your husband comes home, take a sip of it. And keep it in your mouth because very powerful dua that I have recited on this. Keep it in your mouth. Don't swallow it, it's going to hurt you. And don't spit it out until half an hour from the time that he comes home. Is it okay? After a week, she goes back to him, MashaAllah, the dua was so helpful, MashaAllah. What dua did you recite? He said, I didn't recite no dua. I gave you that water to keep it in your mouth so that when he comes and he starts saying something, you just keep it quiet. You don't say anything in return. You don't respond. Because when you start the argument, then finally he will raise his hand on you. But you don't continue with the argument, you don't respond to him, that's it. It ends over there. Arguments is the worst thing that we allow, and we think it's only argument. No, I never raise my hand on my wife. And she thinks, this is the least I would do, at least argue with him. But that is the door for the shaitan. And we should not allow this thing to get into our house at all. So shayateen are always trying to create that type of scenario, that type of situation in our homes where we start arguing. This is when shaitan really gets really pleased with the person. Now we see within our societies, unfortunately, there are representatives of Iblis who are trying to divide families. As soon as they find out something going on in some house, right away they will go in there, trying to find out from her. We heard something like this. What's the situation? He says, yeah, sometimes he comes home and he's upset. Oh yeah, he's that type of man. And my husband was like this, and I really showed him a lesson, and I did this and I did this. And now they try to teach her those type of lessons, and same thing from the other side. These are the shayateen from within our communities that are trying to break the families. And they are the representatives of that Iblis who is sitting over there, and he welcomes and he really is happy with the work of the shaitan that divides the family. And here we see that they are representative of that Iblis who are trying to divide the families. When we find out there is something like this, if you really want to get in it, then our position should be, how can we bring these two people together? How can we help them to have a peaceful life? But increasing it and teaching them things to how to argue with each other and how to react and how to teach the other person a lesson, this is all the work of shaitan. Unfortunately, if a person commits another type of sin, we find out someone drinks alcohol or someone is in the habit of stealing, we consider that a big crime. But people who do these type of things, they are considered to be very helpful and brave people. This is one of the worst sins. Shaitan doesn't appreciate drinking alcohol as much as he appreciates from the other person who made the person fight with his wife. Why is that? Because he knows this is the sin that Allah hates the most. Since it displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that is the thing that would please the shaitan. Mullah Ali Qari rahimahullah narrated the story in his book, beautiful book called Mirqat, the explanation of Mishkat al-Masabih, that one of the scholars was having some differences with his wife. So people started asking him, what's the situation? We heard that she is like this and she is bad. And he says, listen, she's my wife, so please don't talk to me against my wife. And as normal, there are people who like to know about these situations, and especially they don't like to know about anything good. If you're doing good, they don't want to know about it. But if there is something wrong, then they like to find out and talk more about it. So these people started coming to him, that Sheikh, we heard this, Imam, we heard this, and everyone in the community is talking about your family problem. So he says, that's my wife, please don't talk about my wife. SubhanAllah, it did not work out, and finally it ended up a divorce. So now people want to, now he can tell us, what was the situation with this woman? We heard that she really gave you a hard time and this and that. He says, listen, I divorced her and she is not related to me anymore. How can we talk about someone else's daughter? Islam doesn't allow us to talk about people's daughters. So what right do we have to talk about her? Now don't talk to me about her anymore because she's not related to me. I divorced her. SubhanAllah, these are the akhlaq that Islam teaches us. And for us, God forbid, if a person will get through that type of situation of talaq, of divorce, rest of your life you can just keep on hearing the stories. And these stories are all, the least they are ghiba, backbiting, if they are not buhtan, which means false accusation. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam very clearly tells us in the hadith, al-ghibatu ashaddu min al-zina. Backbiting is even worse than adultery. And the person for the rest of his life is committing that lie, that sin. Not only him, the whole family is involved in it. This is why shaitan is very pleased with the shaitan that created that type of situation in a family and made a husband and wife fight. One of the main reasons for these type of problems in our families is we don't understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created all of us different. Differences are part of our life. Really, this is something that people are not understanding these days. This is why there is so much fight in the organizations, in the masajid, in the board. They can't decide on something. And then even within our own homes, there is so much fight and argument because we don't realize we all are different and differences is part of our life. Just realize one thing. With all the people that are sitting here in this gathering, are there any two people that you can say that they look exactly alike? Faces are not same. Not only this, even the fingerprints are different. And we all know that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indicated to it in Quran. بَلَا قَادِرِينَ عَلَىٰ أَن نُسَوِّيَ بَنَانَا in Surah Al-Qiyamah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we will bring the person back to life. We can even reform his fingerprints. Subhanallah. There was a person who became Muslim by reading this ayah, reciting this ayah, that how come Allah didn't say that we can even make his face back the way it was? Because all faces are different too. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says we can even put the fingerprints back to where they were, to their original shape and form. Just as we don't look alike, our faces are different, the look is different, our fingerprints are different. Same way our personalities are different too. We need to realize this. At the time when a person is thinking about getting married, we are trying to look for the right person. And now especially it's a new trend that for looking for the right person you need to spend some time before marriage to understand each other. And that is the real time when you would misunderstand each other. Really. Because people feel if during that time you see things in that person that you don't like, right there you don't want to marry the person. And if you feel that, yeah, mashallah, everything matches there. Whereas in reality, if you look at the mirror, nothing matches. But, except that he also shaved his beard because of her. But, nothing matches over there. But now they feel that, we have same personality, really everything is the same. And after marriage, they find out the reality about each other. Before that time, you really love the person, you want to marry the person, and you want to do everything according to what that person wants. After marriage, you want to be on your own. You want to be what you are. You can't pretend something for too long. So then you are what you are. And she sees, but this is not how you were behaving before. Yeah, but at that time I wanted to marry you. And really, we feel we understood each other, really we misunderstood each other. And that is because of most of the divorce in this part of the world. Yes, we do a lot of counseling in our field. We get a lot of these problems. And most of the time, the real cause of the problem is that they misunderstood each other before marriage by spending some time together. And now they thought there will be no differences. We like the same type of food. We have all the same type of habits, and our taste is same. But after some time, she looks at him and said, "You look like," and I'm sure now you remember the word that was said to you. I'm not going to repeat those words. This is a fact. So difference and being different is part of our life. A person at the time of marriage is looking at beauty. He's looking just at his own standard. And anyone that falls under that standard, he says, this is the right person for me. After marriage, the person has totally different expectations. She would cook food for me. But how did that look tell you that she would cook food for you? In which email she told you that she would be cooking food? She never told you that. she told you she loves you, you thought that means, you translated I love you, that she would cook food for me. But this is not what I love you means. I love you means you cook food for me. So really, in those type of situations, when we don't look at the right things, and we just keep expectations, and these high expectations always ruin our lives. The main thing is, number one, realize and remember, no expectations in this life. No expectation from any human being in general, but no expectation in the marital life. Don't start your life with expectation, with high expectations. You will always be hurt. Because, of course, we all are human beings. We react to our emotions. Two emotions are the strongest emotions in human beings. The emotion of anger and the emotion of love. When a person is angry, at that time you don't see his real personality. Yes, you see what he is when he becomes angry. When the person is in love with someone, you don't really see the real person in him. At that time he's reacting to his emotion. Oh, you want this? Okay, go ahead, take this. You want one credit card? No, take the whole wallet. After marriage, I want $1. I don't even have a penny for you. Yes, because at that time, you are reacting according to your emotions. You are willing to give anything. Those emotions are gone. Now you come into the reality of the life. And you had built your expectations according to that experience. And you don't see it anymore. So never start your relationship, your marital life with high expectations. Always think that I'm getting a wife for myself, just a normal wife, that inshallah we will try to help each other to be a good family. But when you expect that every morning, she would iron my clothing, she'd have everything ready for me, everything is prepared, and I wake up in the morning and I would just sit and all the dress will come from the rahmah of Allah and come on me, and my shoes are shining, and someone opens the door and says, okay, goodbye, I will wait for you, and then when you come back home, that someone is standing at the door waiting for you, and you come with that expectation and you see that you hear some snoring from the bedroom, you get upset. These expectations are ruining our lives. In addition to expectations, when two more problems are added to it, they really destroy the family. And that is arrogance and selfishness. That's it. If these three things are in someone's life, he will never have a peaceful life. He has to change himself. High expectations from the other party, whether it's husband or wife, when they keep high expectations, and in addition to that, then there is arrogance from both sides that my way has to be followed, and whatever I said this and you didn't do it for me, and I asked you this and you didn't tell me, and you hang up on me and you did this to me. When that type of arrogance is there, and when there is selfishness, that everyone is looking for only his and her benefit, that's it. You can never have a peaceful life. It should be just totally the opposite. Number one, no expectations. Number two, total humbleness. And number three, always giving the other person preference over yourself. No selfishness. Taking care of other people's emotions or other people's desires. And you look how to please the other person. What can I do so that at least the other person is happy? Don't look at your own happiness that, okay, she has to do this for me. Now what happens really, in many homes, and I see this problem a lot when counseling people, a husband goes home. Again, expectations. The food will be ready. As soon as I go home, this is going to happen. She will welcome me this way, and I will have real nice food. She was sitting in the house the whole day waiting that my dear husband would come, and then I will talk to him about something. I want to tell him this, I want to sit with him, and today I got this call, so I have to ask him about this. She's waiting the whole day that for her husband to come, and she would ask him these things. He goes home now. Is the food ready? Yes, dear, it's ready. Just give me 5 minutes right there. 5 minutes? You didn't know I come at this time? Okay, how about I told you to do this work? Did you send those emails? Right there, you start your work over there. You never asked her, how are you feeling today? How did you spend your day today? Anything new? Find out how she is doing, how she is feeling, what was her situation throughout the day, and same thing from her side, she needs to find out from him, how is your day today at your work? See if the other party is happy, is not happy, is sad, is upset, is something and going through some situation, something that going through this person's mind, and you start asking the person about the work. And right there you get upset. This is what is ruining our lives, that we don't care about each other. Just selfishness. I told you to do these work. Now you pull out your list. Okay, how about this work? How about this work? How about this work? You didn't do none of these things? You are totally useless. You are not of any good in this house, and I'm just ruining my life being with you. SubhanAllah, when you married her, did you marry her for all of this work? So now you're ruining your life with her because she didn't do that work. That is really maybe additional burden on her. And same thing as I said from the other side. The husband comes home very tired. And of course, at least he hopes to have certain things in place. When he comes home, he finds out that nothing is ready. And she's standing at the door with all the complaints. Oh, your mother said this, and you tell your mother not to call me again. And your sister does this always, and she talks to me this way, and I don't want to stay in this house. And I ruin my life by being in this house with you. SubhanAllah. And then you don't know his situation. You don't know what he may have gone through when he was out, so he may react according to his mental situation at that time, and that will just end up everything and destroy everything. First thing, sit together. Find out about each other. Talk. See how the other person is doing. What the other person is thinking. What the other person is going through. We all love to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And some of us try to follow the sunnahs even more strictly than others. In one of the situations, I told one of the sisters, I said, when your husband comes home, start doing this thing. She has a lot of complaint, a long list of complaint. I said, do this when he comes home. Tell him, I was waiting for you. Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing? And how was your day? And I was waiting for you. And the whole day really was so difficult for me to pass because it was without you. And she told me, she said, you want me to lie? I said, go ahead, lie. And really, according to the Sharia, lying in the situation is allowed too. And then I said, you sit with her, as soon as he comes, you welcome him in that way, in a nice, warm welcoming, and then present something that you think he likes, like a juice or water or a tea, whatever he likes, present it to him at that time. And just make him feel that he really came at a place where he is very welcomed, and you were waiting for him, and you were missing him, and you were looking forward to see him. Believe me, not even a week later, the whole situation changed. She was ready. She said, there is no way I'm going to live with this person anymore. Within 1 week, the whole situation changed. He totally changed. She says, he's a different person. I said, that's just by following that sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where he had taught the Muslim woman how to welcome her husband. Same thing for the husband on the other side. Going into the house, rather than standing with work. Did you do this work? I asked you to do this. Did you do this? Did you call there? Did you email this? Did you do? No. First thing, start asking her with salam. After salam, ask her how she was doing. And not only this, we find in the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he used to enter his house, he used to stare with a big smile to his family. There is no situation where Ummahatul Mu'mineen say that Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam would not be smiling to us, except when he was upset and they knew he was upset. And he wanted them to understand that I'm upset today. For our wives, generally, only a few days in a year when we want them to know that I'm happy, that is the only day that she will see the smile on our face. Rest of the life, yeah, he's always upset. As one of the people said it, I don't know what it means. He said, he may have been born at a makruh time. So he never smiles. It is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to smile. She says he was born at a makruh time, so he doesn't smile. He's always makruh face. This is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Imagine if the sunnah is to be smiling to other people also. And we smile to everyone. But the most important relationship is that relationship of a husband and wife, and that is the person who doesn't see a smile on our face, unfortunately. It's against the sunnah. Not only this, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam even goes to the extent when he teaches us practically that he would take food and put it in his wife's mouth. And he says that this is sadaqah. This is sadaqah. Imagine we give so many other sadaqat, but that sadaqah, I don't want anyone to raise your hand, but if we ask people really, not too many people may have been following this sunnah and giving that sadaqah. It's something we need. It's sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ did it, so we learn our lesson from him. We learn how to treat our wives, how to treat our families, how to be with our families. Really, the feeling is that if you are a good man, if you are a virtuous man, if you are a strong man, then never smile at your home because they will be spoiled. SubhanAllah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was always smiling. And as I said, as far as differences, don't call that as spoiling. That would be there. That is nature. Amazing we see in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sometimes he's upset with his wives, and sometimes even the wives are upset with him. That's natural. But that being upset would never lead to do something wrong, something haram, or raising the voice or arguing. That is the thing. SubhanAllah, practically, he even taught us how to disagree. Once he says to Aisha radiallahu anha, Aisha, the times that you're upset with me, there is a sign by which I find out and I know it. He says, how do you know it, Ya Rasulullah? He says, when you are happy with me and you talk to me, you say, La wa Rabbi Muhammad. I swear by the Lord of Muhammad. When you're upset with me, you say, Wa la wa Rabbi Ibrahim. I swear by the Lord of Ibrahim. She says, yes, Ya Rasulullah. And even at that time, my love never reduces for you, but I only change the name. Imagine you tell your wife that, generally you would hear, yeah, at that time I wish you don't even show me your face. No, but this is what we learn. This is all part of the teachings of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the deen is not just ibadah, it's not just salah and zakah and these ibadah. This is also part of our deen. And if we go against these instructions of Sharia, we are neglecting the rights of the husband, we are neglecting the rights of the wife, and accordingly we will be questioned on the day of Qiyamah. This is huquq al-ibad. And believe me, one of the most difficult hisab people will be going through on the day of Qiyamah is the hisab, is the rights of the husband and wife. This will be one of the most difficult situations for us, because we are so much used to hurting each other's feelings, intentionally hurting each other, doing things to make sure the other person, according to our understanding, will get a lesson, but really trying to hurt the person. Try to see, ask the scholars, ask the ulama, go back to Quran and Hadith, see if there is any room in Sharia for this. That you just try to hurt the other person. And not only this, put your daughter in that situation, that would you like her husband to treat her this way? After all, your wife is someone's daughter. Would you really like someone to treat your daughter the way you are treating your wife? And if not, then why are we accepting it for other people's daughters? And I don't want anyone to interfere. Don't tell your father, tell your dad not to call me no more. SubhanAllah. Is this what the Sharia ruling is? Is this what our deen is teaching us? Is this what our Prophet ﷺ did? Is this what we find in the hadith, in the instructions of Rasulullah ﷺ? So I was saying that really, humbleness is the key to this. Humbleness and giving others preference or ourselves. In most of the families where both are educated, this is the problem that comes with that type of education also. That they really make the person develop that quality that always demand for your rights. Demanding for rights is part of the society, is part of the culture. Children demand your rights from your parents. Students demand your rights from your teachers. Wives demand your rights from your husband. And there are associations everywhere. This association is for the rights of women. Anything, if anyone, your husband abuses you, in whichever way, just call us, we will help you. Help you what, doing what? Help you break away from your husband. Really, this is what the help is. We all know what that help is. We will help you break away from your husband and then hurt him as much as we can. We will help you. Just think about it for a minute. Isn't that Jahannam? When every organization is claiming to help you to break your home, and at the end even that organization will throw you out? And this is called help? This is worse abuse than what she was going through. فَبْعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا. The problem is really serious. Bring a person from his family and a person from her family and let both of them sit and discuss it. But we will help you. Come with us. Leave that home. Or just get a protection. This is very common these days now. Call 911 right away. Make sure you get to make a complaint. You will be the first to make the complaint. And get an order for protection against the person. So now, he cannot even come to his own home. He can't see his children. He can't see you. SubhanAllah. What is all of this is about? Yes. I'm not saying those things are not needed. They are needed for people who don't know these instructions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who don't know what the beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us and how he treated his wives. When he says, خَيْرُكُمْ خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ, the best amongst you are those who are the best to their families, to their wives. Then he went on to challenge, وَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ, I'm the best amongst all of you to my family. Really think about it now. Can we, as we are sitting in this gathering, can we say, وَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِهِ? How many out of us in this gathering would be able to say, وَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِي? This is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَأَنَا خَيْرُكُمْ لِأَهْلِي. A person came to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he started complaining about his wife. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gave an amazing response. Something that we can't even expect to hear it. Just think about it. What do you think what that may be? A person is complaining against his wife. Prophet ﷺ, he stayed quiet for some time. Then this person went on and on. He said, okay, طلقها, divorce her. He's looking, Ya Rasulullah, what did you say? Yes, divorce your wife. Ya Rasulullah, but I can't stay without her. He says, then keep her the way she is. What does this mean? Normally, we just look at the faults of the other party. We don't look at the good things. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by saying that, he reminded the person as soon as he thought about talaq, he remembered all the good things in her. That if she is gone, then what will happen to this? Who's going to help me in my business, at my work? Who's going to take care of my home? Who's going to do that? Now he remembered all the good things about her. He said, Ya Rasulullah, it's so difficult without her. He said, then keep her the way she is. Stop complaining. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us in Quran. فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَيَجْعَلُ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. If you dislike something in your wife, you may be disliking something where Allah has put a lot of khair. Subhanallah, Rabbul Alameen is saying, وَيَجْعَلُ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Allah has put a lot of khair in her. And there are a few things that you don't like. And this is very natural, as I said. There are a lot of things that she doesn't like in him. And she takes it because this is my husband. But I'm talking about all days. These days, try to look with a microscope, faults of her husband. And I'm going to keep a list with me all the time. And as soon as he tells me something, I'm going to tell him those 10 things. It's the 10 commandments that I always repeat. Really, people memorize the faults of the other person. And then they start repeating it and repeating it. So the point is that we need to realize, we need to understand that fulfilling the rights of other party is part of our Sharia. And keeping the other person happy is part of our Sunnah and part of the instructions given by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is part of our deen. Letting the other people feel that you really care about the person. You really love the person. This is part of our deen. We feel it's part of our personality, and these days, this problem is even more from the woman's side than men's side, that she doesn't want her husband to get that feeling that you're dying on him. That he would think that I really depend on him. I want to know, let him know that I don't really care. Really, this is something that comes as part of the life, especially when a woman is working and she's earning. It is a fact of life. No, if you mind it, I'm sorry. Or I'm not even sorry. Really, this is part of the life. When she goes out working, she's independent. Her emotions, especially when it comes to the lust and desire, is not like men. She could stay without you for a year. You can't stay without her for a week. Fact is fact. You can't deny it. After 1 week, you will go back home, regardless how far away you will run. She won't come back even after a year. Financially, she is strong. She won't care. So this is why when you look for PhD, you know what that stands for? Pirawa Dimag. This PhD is in Urdu. The people don't know English. That is the PhD. Pirawa Dimag. Totally, no brain. I'm on my own. I do whatever I want. And from both sides, as I said, this is a big problem when we try to make the other person feel I don't care. Although there is loving side. But still, we don't want the other person to really see that I don't want her to feel that I really die on her and then she would misuse it and she would abuse my love for her. And same thing she feels from the side. So now, let me make her feel I don't care about you. And she the same way wants him to feel that I really don't care of what you do. Say a person was going somewhere and he sees a long life of people. At the front of the line, there is a person standing with a dog in his hand. So he goes to that person and says, "Is everything okay?" He said, yeah, I'm so sorry to tell you, my wife passed away. What happened? How did she die? You know, this dog that I have with me, this is the problem. He bit my wife and she passed away. He said, "Can I borrow your dog for a day?" So he says to him, "Go at the end of the line." But really, we need to make the other person realize that we care about them, that love is there. In fact, more than what you have. The person should have that feeling that this is what we are looking from each other. One of the very main reasons of family disputes is when the person comes back home and he tries to impress his family by his position at workplace. "Oh, you don't know. You know, there are 36 people that work under me." Who cares? She is not going to be impressed by that. "Oh, I became the foreman for this." I don't know if you heard, the king called a barber. The barber went and he was grooming the hair of the king, and at the end when he was done, the king said, "Oh, I use so many barbers. You are the best barber in the country." So he was so proud of himself. "You know, I'm the best barber in the country." He goes home. That day he left home upsetting his wife. He goes back home and he says to her, and she gives him that bad look. "Okay, you came back home now again?" Says, "You don't know? Today the king told me that I'm the best barber in the country." Says, "What does the king know about being a barber?" That's not his field. He doesn't know what being a barber is. If the barbers would tell you that you are the best barber, yeah, I may accept, but this is the king telling you. Who is he? So the point is that when we go back home and try to impress our families about our work, and this happens in this part of the world, is a common problem. One of the people who have the most difficult family life are police officers. That is because he goes back home and he wants to give a ticket to his wife. That you are parked at the wrong place. And right there she tells him, "Don't boss around in this house." Yes, it's a fact. Because the person takes his work back to his home. And he wants to create that environment of the work at his home, and he wants to treat his family, his children, the way he treats the employees or other people around him at workplace. And children are not going to accept it. Wife is not going to accept it. Husband is not going to accept it. Just the way you don't go to your workplace and you tell them, "Oh, I have a wife." So who cares? In this society, the person will say, "I have 3 girlfriends." It's a fact. So, just the way you don't go and tell them, "I have a wife, I have 3 children, be careful." It doesn't mean anything. Same thing, from this side, you take it to the other side, I'm a foreman for my company and I know how to organize that. I'm going to teach you how to run this house. That's it. He'll tell you, "Go ahead, do it. I'm leaving." So don't try to take your work and the position of your work into the house. And this is from both sides, as many times both parties are working when they try to do that. And children really suffer in that type of situation when we try to treat our children not according to our deen and iman, not according to our akhlaq. We try to treat our children according to our education and according to our work. And that never works. This never works is one of the major problems that people are facing in their marital lives. Also, as I said, being selfish. Being selfish simply means that a person doesn't care of what the other person is going through. And you don't care what the other person likes or doesn't like. You just want to disapprove everything and everything. Many of us, we have that habit that after some years, if you just got married, then this is a different situation. But after some years, whatever wife says, the first answer to that is no. It's well known. First answer, and she knows it, the first answer will be no. And after that, she has to keep on working on it until she would convince her husband. And she knows how to do it. She would use all different means and different ways, and finally you would be convinced. But your attitude towards no in the first place, and this continues. Now, she got no from her husband all the time. Now when children ask her for anything, this is the first answer they hear from their mother, no. And children also know that as soon as I talk to man, the first thing is, no, this is not going to happen. And then the child knows how to make his way and how to get it done. Why stand with the no? That reaction is not good. It's not good for your own, for yourself and for your life. Always saying, okay, inshallah, let's think about it. Even at the end, if it comes to no, but at least you are thinking positively about it, and the other person knows that I can really talk to him. I can explain myself to him. When a woman comes to our home, when she got married, she left her parents, she left her brothers and sisters, she left all of her friends, she left that old company of people that she was living, she was having throughout her life. It's not an easy thing. As soon as she comes, she starts seeing a behavior. She starts seeing all kind of different accusations, and people are watching her and pointing fingers at her. Right there, she can't handle it no more. We have to realize what the other person is doing for us, how much the other person is offering for us. Then later on in the life, the husband is offering all of that sacrifice, working day and night. He's even working extra hours just to maintain that family and take care of the needs of the family. And at the end of the day, when he goes back home, if he starts hearing complaints that you never have time to come home, and every day you're late, and I don't know why you come late for. I think you're going somewhere, you don't like me no more. SubhanAllah. Where did you get that from, that he doesn't like you if he's working for you? But we start driving these type of results from the work of shaitan. He's playing with our minds. We need to be always patient with each other. That sabr is extremely important. And ithar, as I said, no selfishness. The opposite of selfishness is ithar, which means giving others preference over ourselves. What should we eat tomorrow? One person feels like eating this, the other person feels like eating this. So now you say, okay, we'll go by your wish today. And every day you be the person to say that, okay, I'll go for what you like. If that would be our habit, if that would be our habit, that we always, the other party knows that you would always sacrifice your wish for her wish, and she knows, and she knows that you know that she would sacrifice her wish for your wish. You would always be trying to fulfill the other person's wish. But when you see that no, she's always trying to demand things, and she's just asking for what she wants, then okay, I'm going to make sure that this thing is going to be my way. So we don't want our wings. We want the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by pleasing each other, by being nice to each other, and taking care of the emotions of each other. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Aisha radiallahu anha says, once Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saw some people playing out. So he said to me, Aisha, would you like to see that? See them playing? I said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. So he stood in a way that I had my face between his head and shoulder, and from there I was watching the game. I was watching people playing, so that they can't see me, so there is hijab. And Prophet ﷺ stood that way, and he kept on asking her, Aisha, are you done now? And she says, it wasn't that interesting for me, but just to see his love for me, I said, no, I'd like to see more. So he stayed there in that position. And then after some time, okay, should we go, Aisha? No, I'd like to see more. Okay. Aisha radiallahu anha says, until when I got tired, I said, okay, I'm done now. And he said, okay, now we can go then. SubhanAllah, this is how he's showing that how much I care about you. He's caring about other people's feelings. let me just end with this beautiful hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did i'tikaf, and he used to do i'tikaf every year. Aisha radiallahu anha asked him permission to do i'tikaf. He said, okay, because her house was attached to the masjid. If you went to the Medina Munawwara and visited the Rawdah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the house of Aisha radiallahu anha. So the house was attached to the masjid and the door used to open in the masjid. There was no door that opens outside, subhanallah. The door of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam's house would only open in the masjid. There was no door outside. So he gave her permission to do i'tikaf, that she would put a small tent just at the doorstep, and she would just stay there. Aisha radiallahu anha put a small tent over there just to cover that area, and she did i'tikaf. Other wives of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started to finding out that Aisha radiallahu anha is doing i'tikaf this Ramadan. So Salama radiallahu anha, she brought her tent and she did i'tikaf there, next to the tent of Aisha radiallahu anha. Safiya radiallahu anha, she brings her tent next to the tent of Salama radiallahu anha. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was in his tent during the night time, 21st night of Ramadan. For Fajr, he walks out of his tent and he sees so many tents in that line. He asked, whose tents are these? They said, Ya Rasulullah, your wives. When they found out Aisha is doing i'tikaf, they came one after another. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he performed Salat al-Fajr. He picks up his tent. He said, I'm not doing i'tikaf this year. Ummahat al-Mu'mineen, as they started finding out, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he picked up his tent and he's not doing i'tikaf, they started picking up their tents and going back home. If he's not in i'tikaf, where are we going to do in i'tikaf? Next year, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did i'tikaf for 20 days, making up for the 10 days of the previous Ramadan. And then he did not allow anyone to do i'tikaf, any of the Ummahat al-Mu'mineen to do i'tikaf in the masjid. When they asked him for permission, he said, you do i'tikaf at your home. That is the i'tikaf of him. But subhanallah, now see how careful he was not to hurt anyone's feelings, and how he was taking care of those things at his home, that he didn't say to all of them, okay, now all of you leave. I don't want anyone to do i'tikaf. That Aisha radiallahu anha would be hurt that because of them, I had to cancel my i'tikaf. So she would have that feeling against the other ones. And if he would allow Aisha radiallahu anha and not allow the others, then they would have that feeling that how come she's allowed and you're not allowed. So, subhanallah, imagine the reward of i'tikaf. And this is a prophet of Allah. For people like us who say, look, this imam, he left the masjid because of his wife. Really, we don't understand. We don't understand these values and the importance of these values in our lives. They mean a lot, and these are all teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for everyone, not just for the husband, for wife, for children, for parents. That this is how careful you need to be in your house. That make sure you don't hurt the feelings of each other. Don't do anything that will create a bad feeling in other person's heart for you. Always try to keep the other person happy. And I'm sure the response to this from many of us would be that nothing makes him happy. This would be the response. That no, nothing makes him happy. I tried a lot and he is not going to change. No. Follow these instructions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inshallah, the rahmah of Allah will come through the barakah of the sunnahs of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These sunnahs are not useless. They are not just for earning some reward. They will come with rahmah and barakah, and you will see the rahmah of barakah inshallah in our lives. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our a'mal. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I want all of you to make this dua. Make this gathering and this talk a mean of bringing peace in our lives and our homes. And anyone who has any difficult situation in his and her home, anyone that is in this gathering who has any special situation that they don't feel like mentioning, they can't talk to people about it, may Allah solve all of their problems. And may Allah bring all kind of peace and rahmah to their homes. and give all of us tawfiq to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to be standing on the day of judgment in a way that our wife or husband can demand no rights from us that ya Allah, he did or she did something wrong to me. May Allah guide all of us to Sirat al-Mustaqim. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Question and answer after Isha.
And inshallah, question and answers will be after Salat al-Isha. The session for question and answer will be after Salat al-Isha, and Salat al-Isha will be in 5 minutes inshallah.